Hello, I'm O Sugars, and welcome. Today I want to talk to you about my journey with Inktober and my plans this year for something different. I've never heard of Inktober before. Let me go ahead and give you a brief rundown. Inktober is a 31-day challenge that takes place in October, in which artists or creators from all over the world can follow the official Inktober prompt list or any of the ones that you can find online. There's a ton to choose from. But the whole goal is to draw every day for the month of October. Now, originally I understood it as drawing in ink, but really it's kind of evolved to also include digital. For me personally, I've always done ink because I naturally gravitate towards ink. So Inktober gave me this wonderful opportunity to test myself, test what I knew about ink, and to push it even further. Thus, in this video, I want to take you on a visual journey of what I've done for Inktobers past. 2016 was the first year I really tried to get into Inktober, even though I didn't actually follow any of the prompts. Instead of really, for me at that time, was just kind of doing it and showing myself that I could do it. So I went with something that was a little easier for me at that time because I'm not good with backgrounds, and especially then I was utterly trashy when it came to backgrounds, so I didn't even attempt them. These characters, though, that I did go for tended to be more with cyberpunk, because at that time I was very much obsessed with the look of cyberpunk, the genre of cyberpunk, and I was just really like fond of it at the time. I still am. I still like, cyberpunk as a genre. But these characters were really planned. The only thing I had in mind when I made them was cyberpunk. And I'm going to say that again and again, probably. But with that kind of obsession going in there, I didn't really have, like I said, a plan. So I really just kind of went straight into it with the ballpoint pen, and I always really loved ink in any form. I kind of mentioned that before also. So with the green ballpoint pen, it kind of challenged me to think a little more carefully, a little more thoughtfully as I was doing the ink. I only got about through 10 characters in total. At the time, I was kind of working a lot at nighttime, and it just wasn't working out in terms of time frame, and I was starting to rush through them rather than giving them the proper time that I really wanted to give these characters. And you'll see that the proportions are kind of they're not looking very good, but hopefully one day I'd like to revisit them, because I'm not disgusted with the way they look. I actually like the designs, and I feel like they could be improved on. So I want to revisit them again, work on that, maybe even see what would happen if I actually applied color to them, and see kind of like what I would do with them now that it's 2020 and I've had hopefully a little time to grow in my own art. So overall, not a bad attempt. First attempt, only about 10, but not a bad attempt. In later attempts, I think I tried a little harder, probably did a little better. I'll let you be the judge. So I'm going to let you watch the rest of just the images as they come up, all the pretty little characters, I guess, and I will see you in 2018. Since we're not going to talk about 2017, I figured let's just expel that from our minds furthermore and head right into 2018 like I've promised. So For 2018, I actually feel like this is my most successful year with Inktober. I didn't technically finish this one either. I got 30 out of 31 illustrations done, which ultimately is not that much of a failure in my book. I want to give myself a pat on the back for that. But it was a lot of fun. I actually seriously followed the prompts this year instead of going at it my own way like I had for 2016 and the cyberpunk girls and boys and creatures and all the fun things above. But following the prompts did give me this kind of opportunity to challenge myself in a different way. I always liked kind of words in general and kind of the connotations behind them, what they implied. So coming up and interpreting the prompts in my own way and then actually finding a story kind of emerge from the illustrations I was doing was quite thrilling. And it was only really made possible by kind of deciding on 4 little characters that also emerged from the prompts, and just following what they were gonna do and their adventures and all the fun that they were gonna have. And I thought, well, this is pretty good. Now the characters are Alma, who is a little human girl, V, who comes from a family of snake-based witches, May, who's partly a fairy, and Bonnie, who's partly a skeletal monstrosity. Let's just say. You get to meet her dad later on in the prompts. But the fun of that was getting to follow them. And even if you don't see the story emerge because of following the prompts chronologically, if you were to arrange them correctly, a little bit of a story comes through. And that's something I like to latch right onto. But let me just, give you an idea of the story. Even if you don't want to hear it, I'm sorry, you can skip right ahead. But I'm going to tell you anyway. So the story follows young witches in training Alma, V, May, and Bonnie as they tackle their magical studies and get into trouble more often than not. Alma, a human who arrived at Nightshade Academy, a very clumsy girl, has always been easily bullied by her classmates. And yet that didn't stop V, a girl from the infamous Viper family, from befriending her. Soon they made friends with the fairy-based witch, May Faye, and then Bonnie Bones, partly a skeletal monstrosity. Together they end up having tons of great adventures, lots of detention, pass their days idly even if they barely pass their tests. Until, that is, one day V buys a strange bottle from a not-so-trustworthy back-alley witch, and it breaks. Soon strange things begin happening all over the town. Tales of a twisted little girl, rumored, and great black thorns growing in every shadow of the town. Can Alma, V, May, and Bonnie find a way to save their town and pass their classes? So that was the idea for 2018. Tons of fun. And so that actually concluded 2018. So I'm going to go ahead and let the rest of the year play out for you. And I'll see you again in 2019. 2019, I decided to punish myself again by trying Inktober. I mean, challenge myself by trying Inktober again. And again, I didn't finish. I got 22 illustrations done, and I did follow the prompts. But the reasons for this one not coming to completion are a little different from the first couple sets, and that mostly had to do with a lack of planning with materials. Now, when I'm talking about materials, I'm talking about my tools. When I did the first illustration, or the first prompt rather, which was Ring in 2019, I decided to focus more on backgrounds, and backgrounds of a fanciful world. They didn't necessarily have to connect to each other. If they did, that would have been cool. I would have been fine with that. But they definitely had that kind of focus on backgrounds, and for Ring especially, I decided that it needed more contrast. I had really just gone into it with black and white, and at that point it felt more like line art and it wasn't completed. And I saw these markers that were sitting down next to me, and I decided, oh, that might just actually do it. So I went ahead and I used the markers to kind of give it a little shading, give it a little contrast, especially in the sky for Ring. And I found that I actually really liked it. It was a nice, easy fix to the problem that I was having. Problem was, these were really old markers. I actually haven't been able to find them on the market since I got them as a donation a long time ago. And I wondered what I was going to do if they ran out. Well, what I did when I ran out of ink from them was I rage quit. I threw everything across the room in a great huff of exasperation and cried out to the skies in vain, because obviously the art gods were not shining or smiling down upon me for this particular challenge, even though the backgrounds were actually not going that bad. Most of the environments that I did had some kind of connection to the prompt, of course, so kind of interpreting the prompts into these backgrounds was actually kind of fun, and kind of fun to see as I kind of review them too. But, at some point I decided, I was going to try a different kind of marker, and those ran out too. But prompt 12, which was Dragon, was the first time I used a different kind of marker. They had more of a cool gray, whereas the first set had more of a warm gray tone. And again, they died. And I struggled. I pumped every bit of juice out of these markers, and they failed. They just failed so badly that I threw them promptly in the trash. And I have not bought that brand since, just because of my frustration that I felt with Inktober. However, looking at all the backgrounds, looking at all the environments I drew, I'm actually quite pleased with them. Some tended to be a little more character-centric. You'll see, I think it was an ornament. Tended to be focused on a female, princess-type character. But really, I was quite pleased that I got to really practice environments. And as I've mentioned quite a few times now, I'm not very good with backgrounds. They're one of my weakest points besides color. One of the things I really struggle the most with. And using this as an opportunity to really kind of expand on that and really learn and challenge myself and get a little bit more familiar again with perspective really did help. And I didn't hold these to such a high standard as I had in the past, and it wasn't like I was presenting this as this great, amazing, spectacular attempt. But yeah, I'm okay with it. And I think I created an interesting fantasy world, and for me, that's actually good enough. So now that we're caught up with 2019, I'm gonna go ahead and let you watch the rest of the attempts, let you get up to 22, and then I will catch up to you again in 2020 and let you know what I plan on doing, or at least give you an idea. See you then. Now that I've had the opportunity to show you my history with Inktober, let me just say that I had a ton of fun. And this is where I want to kind of tell you a little bit of what I'm planning to do this year. And it's not Inktober. And that's kind of the reason why I wanted to show you. I have done Inktober in the past, but I think that 2020 is a great opportunity to try something new and something different. And not that I hate Inktober, not in the least bit. As you can see, I've loved Inktober. I've loved trying it. It plays with my favorite medium, and it's just something that's all around challenged and excited me in the past. But I'm going to talk more about my reasons for doing it differently this year in my next video, in part 2. So I hope you'll come back and join me again. Let me know in the comments section below if you're going to be doing any art challenges for October this year. And if you liked what you saw, please consider dropping a like. Maybe check out my other socials. Links are in the description below. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope to see you again soon. Until next time, see you later.